This is Mike Flaherty with AlphaCentric. I'm joined with Brian Gahsman, who's the portfolio manager for our robotics and automation fund. Brian, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Uh, Clearly, one of the subsectors in robotics and automation that we invest in is in the defense.
Mhm.
And certainly that's getting a brighter light shined on that here with the events over the last few days in Iran, but it's been building. And so, we'd like to talk about a couple of companies that have participated in this, some good, some bad. But to give some context, Brian, talk about some of the spending that is going on right now in this space and kind of lay the groundwork for this, if you would, please.
Okay. And so the U.S. military's 2026 budget is $1.07 trillion for 26, right? And so between 48 billion and 113 billion of that um, is going to go to award contracts for modernization and replenishment. So modernization to public companies, whether it be Paladine, Kratos Defense, AeroVironment. I mean, the lists are endless, but um, they're going to be awarding billions and billions of dollars this year to these companies, and that's a big deal. I mean, the Shield program alone, our Golden Dome, if you will, that's $151 billion in spending, right? And that's going to be all modern equipment. We're not talking about Lockheed Martin and Raytheon here. We're talking about AI companies and
Hmm.
autonomous companies that are building our future military. That's happening right now. So that's I don't know. I've never seen spending like this. But it's going to be great for a lot of these companies, even these small cap companies. Oh, here's $1 billion. Well, that's a game
Right.
changer. Look at the balance. I mean, it's a game changer to the balance sheet. So I say, look at these smaller companies right now, because one of these contracts could change everything for those stock prices.
Yeah. Yeah. So talking about stock prices, let's talk for a little bit about AeroVironment. So that's a company that you invest in
Mm.
that has some tremendous technology, but they've gotten whacked here the last couple of days. And so, and I bring this up because we don't always just want to have the sunshine pump going, okay? There's
Yeah,
there's some good and bad in this space. There's a lot of volatility, and this is kind of one of these things that was user error. Talk a little bit about what's going on with that company.
right. Yep. And I mean, that's been a long-term holding. It's been a really great stock. I mean, it's a must-have in the drone space, one of the larger ones. But there's the SCAR program is awarding, billions of dollars to specific companies that win the actual award, the contracts. And Air Environment assumed that they were going to be allocated the nut of that money, right?
Assume.
Assumed. Okay.
Okay.
So they got ahead of their skis a little bit, assumed that. And then the US military announced that, whoa, 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 we haven't actually made our decisions on the allocations of this money yet. And boom, that, that was a kick in the pants to our environment the other day. Now, that's not to say that they're not right and maybe they will get a gigantic portion. Maybe they will get what they were assuming they get. That's still possible, but that was a little bit overly confident, I guess. And it was really bad timing because the next day the government says we haven't made any decisions yet on allocation.
Yeah.
So, I mean that was a huge drop. I mean, it recovered a bit, came back yesterday, but I mean, I'm not concerned at all with air environment or holding it. It's just that's the explanation of the volatility over the past week.
Well, their technology is really terrific,
Mhm.
and it's like we were talking before the call. You see that these Iranian they have the missiles that come out of the ground, and you've got the drones up there that are shooting them as soon as they stick their heads out of the gopher hole. So
Yeah,
Yeah, so let's talk about a couple other stocks that conversely that are doing well. That you like, and kind of share that story with us a little bit.
Sure. Well, with the example that you just stated, so there are some smaller companies that have already received government contracts. I mean, it's happening every other day now. But so in the past episodes, people that have watched our videos, we talked about Sidus Space, right? They make the communication systems and the small 3D printed satellites um, that communicate from the ground to the drone and have the whole system work autonomously. So with your example of, the missiles stick their head out of the ground like a gopher and then boom. Okay, well, so you need all these autonomous systems, the AI from companies like Paladine, right?
Right.
That's the brain for these unmanned vehicles. And then you have the eyes, which is side of space, those little satellites. So the combination altogether. So Red Cat and Paladine just completed the testing of the swarm system that's connected to what's called the Brain X technology. So the drones can swarm using AI in conflict zones. They don't have to have a guy with a remote control somewhere. The drones can actually are programmed to follow what watched over by, satellites. But that was completed a couple of weeks ago. Paladin announced. Not to mention Paladin's up 30%, over 30% right now in the market. But so Paladin they've already received government contracts. So has Sidus Space. So has Kratos Defense. Another really under the radar one that's trading. I don't know. It's a pretty small cap company. It's called XTI Aerospace, and so they have three applications for contracts out right now. But they're making vertical lift, like larger drones. Say so the AeroVironment drones. We've all seen those on TVs and movies. Those huge
Yep.
drones. But we're talking about having a larger drones that have vertical takeoff. So it's a lot more vertical or a lot more versatile. You don't need a runway, right? And so XTI Aerospace, that's been up year to date about 100%, but it's still trading very low because with these three pending applications for awards outstanding, if they were to get one of them, two of them, or even all three of them, that changes a small cap company to a mid cap company just with partial allocation of these government awards. So we haven't talked about XTI Aerospace in the past. We are now. Definitely one on the radar. And that's another thing I mentioned. Like we're not looking at defense, right? We don't have political opinions about the war or things like that. I mean, it's robotics and automation, right? We've been following unmanned vehicles the entire time our fund has been out, right? And AI as well. So the majority of revenue spending that's going into just the defense space right now makes this an area of focus. And so have always liked the small companies instead of buying these huge defense or huge manufacturers. So the ones I've mentioned, XTI, Red Cat, Paladine, Sidus, Space, and even Unusual Machines, which does drone technologies. Those companies, those smaller companies, we're talking about a massive change to a balance sheet, order of magnitude if they get these awards, if they get these contracts. And so those are really where you want to focus on right now if you're going to be investing in defense. So here's the defense bucket. Let's do a subgroup of defense.
Right.
Unmanned vehicles, autonomy, and AI. So there's our subgroup. Now we take that subgroup and let's break down the companies that could move the most and have the most potential to move. Sidus Space hasn't really performed as well as it should have so far this year, but the 12-month average analyst estimated return is 392% over the next 12 months. And that's all the analysts on the street. That's their average 12-month return on site is 382%. XTI Aerospace, the average is 168% over the next 12 months. This is why I like to invest in these smaller names.
Well, and that's why we like you to invest in these smaller names.
Right.
So
Yeah.
continued success with that. Let's leave it there for now and come back and revisit this here. Going forward here in a few weeks. In the meantime, talking about sectors is we've put together. I know this doesn't really do it justice, but we put together a white paper that talks about kind of the market outlook in robotics and automation for this whole year, kind of breaking it down by subsectors. So go out to our website, download that, reach out to us, and we can get it to you. And we'll look forward to doing that and sharing it. In the meantime, I'm Mike Flaherty. Brian, thanks for joining us today, and we look forward to catching up with everybody here before too awful long. Take
Thanks
care.
a lot.